My name is Brenda Parker and I'm the Deputy Director General of Business and Corporate Partnerships. I'd firstly like to welcome our guest speakers, Sharon Boyce and Fiona Haynes. I think she might be still outside, yep. And welcome to our attendees and guests today. As many of you who have probably been to a speaker series before will understand the aim of our speaker series is to provide opportunities for people in DNRME to listen to leading edge thinking, to be challenged the way we operate and grow as an organisation, and to listen to diverse and challenging perspectives that aren't part of our day-to-day lives. These thought leaders provide diverse and challenging perspectives, deliver provocative presentations, and test conventional thinking about ongoing challenges and opportunities. Today's speaker series aligns with our strategic objective to build a contemporary workforce that demonstrates high level of expertise, innovation, collaboration, and leadership to improve service quality and responsiveness to customers and the communities. To achieve this, we are committed to enhancing our workforce diversity and embedding inclusive workplace culture where everyone has an opportunity to be their best and reach their full potentials. Studies show that diverse and inclusive organisations are more innovative, have higher business performance, improved customer satisfaction, increased collaboration, and a strong reputation. This not only makes good business sense, but it is also the right thing to do. Thank you to everyone for coming along today to support Disability Action Week. This event aims to connect people and build culture of inclusion by empowering people with disability, breaking down barriers, creating opportunities and improving access through broader community and workplaces. It is an opportunity for us to open the conversation, raise awareness and ask what we can do to make a difference to help bring out the best in Queenslanders of all abilities. This year's Disability Actions Week theme is "An All Abilities Queensland, Everybody Has a Role to Play." This aligns with our new Being Me in DNRME, Diversity and Inclusion Strategy Vision, where all employees from every classification levels are accountable to enable a workplace culture that values diversity and respect and is inclusive. Diversifying our workplace and embedding a culture of inclusion requires each of us to be a champion of change. So I ask you today that you take your learning back to your workplaces and champion change by continuing the conversation with your team members about how to attract, develop and retain a workforce which reflects the community that we serve. One of the key focus areas in our Being Me in DNRME strategy is increasing our representation of people with disabilities to better reflect the community we serve. Today you will hear from our guest speakers about some of the ways that we can help to break down barriers and opportunities for people with disability and create and build a culture of inclusion. It is my absolute pleasure to introduce our first guest speaker today, who is Sharon Boyce. Sharon is an educator and a disability advocate. She wears many different hats and performs many different roles. She is the current chair of Queensland Disability Advisory Council and the South West Regional Disability Advisory Council. She is a part-time education academic at the University of Southern Queensland and also works across as a consultant in disability awareness. Sharon is a member of the Health Consumers Queensland Collaborative and was Queensland's facilitator for the Leaders for Tomorrow's program run across Australia. Sharon was diagnosed with juvenile chronic arthritis at 11 and has used an electric wheelchair since she was a young adult. Since then, she has devoted her life and her considerable talents to promoting a true understanding of disability and diversity. Sharon founded Discovering Disability and Diversity and helps design a program which helps students, teachers, carers, healthcare workers and community members experience and explore a wide range of disabilities instead of just talking about them. Sharon's PhD research and her filmed lectures at USQ give us an experience and help us to explore and understand a little more about physical and hidden disabilities, dyslexia, and creating inclusive workplace support. In addition to all this, Sharon has also designed educational resources for classrooms and written a book called Discovery at Paradise Island, which deals with the issues of social justice, disability, and how children react to it. The book has been chosen as a part of the New South Wales school syllabus. Sharon is currently completing her next book about dyslexia. Sharon is committed to creating a world where we are creating a world where real live inclusion is possible. She believes by real hands-on education and experience, and by telling her story and the stories of others, that barriers can be broken down and real education can be achieved. Now please join me in welcoming Sharon Boyce.
Thanks so much, Brenda, and thank you everybody for coming along today. There's going to be some members from your department who are going to help with what's happening on each of the tables, so everybody can have a turn at least experiencing most of the disabilities, because that's what Discovering Disability is all about. It's about you feeling what it's like to understand what disability is. When we talk about disability and physical disability, it's often quite easy when you see a person and look at the outside of them. There's certain things that you see. You automatically will see my chair, is that right? In all reality, often, I think as adults, we forget how to even react when a person has a physical disability, and sometimes our communication doesn't exactly go like we think it might. We're not sure what we should ask, what we should say. Should we mention that? Would it be appropriate? What is the correct word for that? Then you can't think of the correct word, so you don't say anything at all. And you think, would that relate to the policy, or does that fit into that? And we all know, there's all those things, but it's about the person who's in front of you. Now, I work in early childhood a lot. I go into, prep rooms, preschool centres, kindies, and kids are not scared to come up to you and ask the real questions. This is how we break down barriers. What do you think is my most asked question when I get to a childcare centre? Every day, without fail, this question is asked. Have a go, what do you reckon? No, that's probably second or third. It is asked, and they've usually looked all around their room, and then they have a scenario. If we put you over there, could we have a go in your chair and see how fast it goes? It's all about the action of the chair. But there's something else. You're just getting through the door. In fact, you probably are not even through the door, probably haven't even said hi to their teacher, but they've asked you a question already. They're right there, they're at my level. And what do you think is my most asked question? When you look at the outside of me, is there any question that you would like to ask? And if you had any chance to ask, that you'd just say, hey, how come like that? How come you're in the chair? No. No. They don't even ask anything that specific. They're like, ooh, she's in a chair, What happened? It really is about what happened. But they'll say to me, how come you've got those very small hands? How come you've got those funny fingers? And if they don't, like if I don't answer straight away, they do not give up. They just get a little bit more polite, but a little bit louder. Like I haven't heard. Excuse me, but I actually said, how come you've got those funny fingers? Okay, well, my hands are like this because I've got arthritis. They started off very long and strong, but my bones are very crumbly and they don't work well now. Ah, is that why I use the wheelchair? Oh, and I sometimes have my neck brace on. They'll be like, is that why you wear that thing round your neck? All the other questions emerge from it. But they've broken down the barrier. They're like, do you want to come and play with us? Okay, well, I better go and say hi to your teacher. So it's that, just getting in the door. Whereas I work in schools with principals, and I'm leaving the school at 5 o'clock when we've finished our session, and a principal may be like helping me out to my car and chatting away, and just say, hey Sharon, how come you've got those small hands? Is that related to the arthritis? Yeah, but how come you didn't ask me when I said, have you got a question? Is there anything that you want to ask? Oh, I wasn't sure whether I should ask that. But you've had that in your head all the time, haven't you? Yeah. And that's the reality. It clouds what we want to say, how we want to say it, what actually is understood. How do we become educated? How do we learn about disability? And we're looking at physical disability from that perspective. And if that's difficult, what about hidden disability? And that's what I want us to particularly explore today. What about autism? What about intellectual impairment? What about all the things that when we look at the outside of somebody we can't see? But those things are happening for that person who's in front of you. We have all different types of mental health issues. We have things like schizophrenia. We have things that people don't want to disclose because they're scared of how other people will react to them. And then sometimes we're scared of what that disability even is. How do we learn about that? And I think that's why weeks like this week are so important. But having the awareness and building on that through every week of the year is even much more important. And I think it's also breaking down those barriers to understand why those things happen within our organisations and departments and workplaces, how we can support those things and how it can not just be about the policy. Because I know for myself, I work a lot with policy, I work a lot with all of those things of how we can create change. But for me, it's the people and the stories and the things that are happening, and it's how we share that knowledge. And I know we've got the NDIA and the NDIS and all of those changes that are happening within the whole of Australia. But first and foremost is, how do we really support the person who has a disability and has those things happening for them in their life? Now, I'm running very differently to how I usually do, because I usually speak for probably half an hour. Those of you who know me will know that sometimes half an hour is a very short time. But we will make sure that today you get into the activities, because I don't want you not to have that experience. I've got a whole PowerPoint behind me of slides, but I don't think we'll go to those slides because I'll put them on and let them run in the background. And if you want to have a look up there, you can have a read through what I've got there. But there's hundreds of stories and hundreds of experiences that every day you hear and can relate to. Kids in schools who are exploring how their lives are different. And I guess when you think about the paperwork and how that relates to them, it is important, especially that they're there and in an inclusive school, and it's not just a word. But how is that lived life every day? And what does it mean for each person? And every person's life is different and individual. I know we were just chatting, even just coming up here into this building today, and I think it was Jenny who said, so you're right to go to the toilet, you know where they all are, etc. And I said, well, I actually know where they all are, but the reality is that if I actually had to go to the toilet, it would be a very different thing for me to have arranged here this morning. I would have had to have brought my hoist, my shower seat, it just goes on. And those places, they probably wouldn't have fitted in the toilet here, even though they're built at universal design standard. It's those sorts of things and those sorts of areas where you actually have to think about the big picture of who's there and what they do, how they do stuff, and whole of life and whole of day journey, and how that links into work. It doesn't mean that I can't work. I travel a lot. I have a great team of people who work with me, and you'll meet those people here today. But without them, and without that ability to have those carers to get me up, to put me to bed at my weird times, like I said, I was doing my dyslexia book. That's meant to be at the printer this afternoon when I get home, because the launch of that is Thursday. So I was up till 3 o'clock on Sunday doing the final editing process. And I think it was Pratima who said to me, "You're pretty determined to get this book finished tonight, aren't you?" I'm like, "Yeah." She went and had a little lie down, realising there was going to be many, many hours before she got to bed, because there were so many things that I wanted to do. And that's the thing with care. It lets me do what I want to do and achieve what I want to do. And it also means that I can be employed within different areas and do the job and the role, which is part of what we're celebrating this week. How do we have that role in society, and how do we share that knowledge with everybody? So what I want to do now is, there's a process, and I think this will work because it's a lovely space and a nice room. We've got around the room a whole lot of different tables. I've got some people who are going to tell you what to do at the table, so I don't have to describe each one. But starting off on the tables over near the door here, there's 2 canvases. There's also paint and permanent markers. And I want everybody, before they finish here today, to have put a handprint on that canvas, there's 2 of them, and to have either signed your name or signed your name and put something about what does disability, celebrating Disability Action Week, diversity or inclusion mean to you, okay? So it's your statement, your individual handprint. And we're going to give one of the prints to the department, and I'm not sure where we're going to put the other one, but we'll find a space. Definitely. So everyone doing that one. Then the next table, as we go round, you'll see there's a table with mirrors. That one is about hidden disability, about some of the really messing with your brain and feeling quite out of control. It's going to be interesting there. We've got some Play-Doh where you've got to actually be very creative and design a face of a person who's in the group with you. And, you know, it would be also really worthwhile if you wanted to send through any pictures of what you've done today to my mobile number, if you want to, for that one. You can get some interesting. But all of the tables are going to have someone sitting there beside them, telling you what to do. We've got a wheelchair over this side where you're going to, you can have a go of that. We've got some white canes. We're going to do some total blindness activities, and we're going to do some vision impaired activities. So some of them you're going to have problems with your eyes, others you're going to have no vision at all. We're going to be doing an activity about autism, and you're going to experience what it's like to have autism. This is a simulation which takes on board probably, hundreds of different kids that I've spoken to, and how we developed the actual process. Please, if you start to feel sick with this one, don't keep going, because it does overload your auditory, everything that you hear, everything that you see, everything that you touch, and you're playing the game of snakes and ladders, and it's a process with your little team, okay? So just be aware of that one. It's really good, but it's also very confronting for some people. Next to that, we also have a table that has a whole lot of physical challenges, and then more of the mirrors over on the back wall. There's another 4. I want everyone to have had a go at everything before you go, and you've only got 35 minutes to go through that now. I'd like you to get into a team of 4 and choose your table that you go to. Wherever you start, you only stay for 2 minutes. But keep moving and make sure that you know what you've done and go to the next one. And remember that handprint. And in the background, I'll put some pictures of my life and how I started to, I guess, live my life and my family support and the work that we do with Discovering Disability. So that'll be in the background as well. Okay, so a team of 4. Any questions first? Team of 4, start the action. Did everyone get through most of the things? Yeah. Usually, do people feel very tired? Do some people feel a little bit like agitated or a little bit sick? All of those things are that every day for people with those hidden disability. But you could still do it, couldn't you? I saw people having fun. I saw people energised. I saw people... Who's got their lolly bracelets? You could all do it. That's really great. And you can get to eat them now while Fiona speaks. Excellent. Hope nobody's got diabetes, but anyway. The reality is that today is about exploring about disability and about celebrating it. So keep on celebrating. I'll pass back to Fiona. And remember, if you've got questions, please send me an email or check out the website and see what you think. Give me some feedback. Thanks, guys.
Thank you all. Now I'd like to introduce our next guest speaker, Fiona. Fiona Haynes, General Manager of Social Enterprise. Fiona has been working at Multicap for over 20 years. During this time, Fiona has worked in social enterprise, creating employment and social enterprises for people with disabilities. Fiona is dedicated to normalising the experiences that we take for granted every day, including employment and social activities. Please join me in welcoming Fiona.
I'm going to present today on social enterprise. I'm going to give you a little bit of an overview of Multicap and then about social enterprises and why we continue to invest in social enterprise today and why it's so important moving forward. So I do have a video I'm going to show you of Multicap. And as my introduction said, I have been with Multicap for 20 years. Sorry. So
yeah. Do you want the road?
No, all good. I'm loud enough, aren't I? Yeah. So 20 years. So today I love Multicap. I love working there because we are still doing good things. If we weren't doing good things, I don't think I'd want to stay there. It's aligned with my values. So I'm going to show you a quick video, and it's an overview of the whole of Multicap. Today we're going to talk about why Multicap has invested in social enterprise. So about 10 years ago we decided to invest in social enterprise because it creates more opportunities for people with disabilities. We currently have 4 social enterprise activities at Multicap. The first one is Makeables. So Makeables, we currently employ 70 people in 2 big warehouse settings, and that is providing solutions to our customers. So our customers need something finished or something reworked to assist with their product line. So some of the products that you will see that we do on a daily basis is U-Foods. So you would see U-Foods advertising absolutely everywhere. We, on a daily basis, have to complete about 30,000 stickers on the food, on the sleeves that go onto the food. So So obviously it's state specific because it's food. So we have to get our 30,000 finished by 2 o'clock, delivered back to the U Foods at Virginia on a daily basis. So that's quite a big contract for us. It's quite significant. They do realise the investment within a social enterprise, so they use a couple of other social enterprises as well to meet their deadlines, but they have made a conscious decision to do that. Some of the other companies that we would do work for is a big company called Thunderbox, and they make every single toolbox for Bunnings across Australia. So if you went into Bunnings, and you would see the toolboxes, the Class, the Hass blocks, we make them for this company. We have to make something like 11,000 toolbox handles a week for Thunderbox. So it's quite a significant job to us. We have the 2 warehouses. We are currently developing a business model at the moment to move into 3PL, to add another transferable skill to our supported employees. We want our supported employees to move to open employment, so we want to be able to give them the skills to do that. And 3PL is a pick and pack type situation. So a lot of companies import product from overseas. They come in shipping containers, they need somewhere to store it, and then someone to pack it, send it out. So we are doing a lot of the logistics behind the scenes at the moment to develop the business case and whether we move into that. It will mean we will have to relocate one of our warehouses to a more suitable warehouse setting, but it will mean more transferable employment skills for a person with a disability. So there is value in us moving into that. The next social enterprise is Montelupo. Now I know some of you have shopped at Montelupo already. Put your hand up if you have. Yep. So we have 2 cafes, one at Banyo and one at 8 Mile Plains. We have always had an outlet. So Montelupo Studio has been going for 27 years. So quite a long time. Multicap invested in a lot of infrastructure in the studio. So we've got 10 kilns, you know, it's quite a big expense there. 27 years ago, because we wanted to create more skills, you know, transferable skills. So we have the studio at 8 Mile Plains, so we do studio tours. Kelly and Jess are here somewhere, you'll meet them outside. Jess is one of our baristas. So we decided to introduce the coffee shop about 8 years ago because we had this standalone shop, no one would come. So we introduced the coffee shop. Now people will come and buy a coffee and possibly purchase a piece of pottery, but maybe not. But by getting you there, you are inadvertently supporting Multicap because you are buying a coffee. You are creating a job for someone, or you might buy a piece of pottery, which also goes to pay the support employees' wages. So by you doing that, you are helping us to create more social enterprise opportunities. So that's one of the big reasons why social enterprise is important, because we're creating more opportunities. So we've got the 2 cafes. So we've got Banyo and 8 Mile Plains. Next to Banyo, we also have a laundromat. So about 3 years ago, we were given the opportunity to apply for some federal funding. And so we decided, why don't we do a laundromat? We were doing the Broncos Guernseys. We were washing them by hand, scrubbing all the grass stains off, and then we thought, oh, this could be a good social enterprise. So we took about 3 years to gather the funds together to do some fundraising, things like that. And then we got the funds and we built a laundromat at Banyo. This one works really well. This one holds its own. There are people in there continually. I don't know, has anyone used a laundromat? It's not cheap. It's not cheap. I did do it one weekend. It cost me about $50 to do all my washing. Anyway, but that social enterprise works well because it's attached to the coffee shop. So people will go and put their washing on, go and grab a coffee. So that works well. And then we do an ironing service as well. So we're teaching the guys who want to work in a laundromat those skills that they could hopefully go and work out in open employment. So all the income that we generate from the sales of our product pays the support employee wages. So the money we get from the government pays people to support the individuals. So it's really important to change that myth because we get a lot of customers, particularly in makeables, going, oh, you get money from the government, so you should be able to do it cheap. Well, that's not the case at all. We do get money from the government, but it's to support our supported employees to do their job. They might need help to count the money at the end of the day, and it's our job to teach them that, or it's our job to help train someone to catch a bus to work. That's our job. That's what that funding is for. So the money we make from the sale of the pottery, sale of the coffee, toolbox handles, U-Foods, that pays the supported wages. Okay, and it's not that some of our guys should be in open employment, but that transition at the moment, we've got one young gentleman who keeps swinging backwards and forwards because the transition hasn't been successful into open employment. So eventually, maybe the third placement he has in open employment, he doesn't come back. But there is always that option for him to come back. So we hope to get to a stage where our support employees do move on. So we do have the laundromat. Last year we opened a second laundromat at Capalaba, and that is near one of our multi-cap hubs. So there's a direct link there between multi-cap and the laundretto. That's been a bit slow to start, but we are getting there. We are increasing the visibility, more people using it. It's a smart laundromat, so you can go and use your credit card or your iPhone to pay for the laundry, so it's quite nifty. What I didn't mention also, we have 3 coffee carts. So when our support employees have been trained in the coffee shops, we then move them into the coffee carts. So we've got one at Capalaba and we've got one at a Vinnie store at Sumner Park. So they're really there working independently by themselves. The third coffee cart we have got is a mobile coffee unit. So we take that out to do events, venues. What's some big ones we've done? So we did the Ekka. We took the coffee cart to the Ekka, and I think we sold 19 bags of coffee, which is about 5,000 coffees in the week. So that's quite significant for our guys to have those skills. Because in the coffee shop, they might make 100 coffees a day, not 500 coffees a day. So doing those events is really important. So I've got to wrap up. So why social enterprise is important for Multicap is because it creates more opportunities, it's sustainable. You are linking back to Multicap by you coming and buying a coffee or you buying a piece of pottery. It's a direct link to you supporting people with disabilities. So thank you for inviting me to speak. The guys have got a stall out there of display of what they do. I've bought some free coffee cards. So grab a card from the guys out there and come to the coffee shop, have a coffee. It's a lovely environment. It is lovely. I spend a lot of time in there and a lot of money in there buying coffee every day. But thank you once again. Yes.
Thanks, Fiona, for sharing the wonderful work that your organisation does. I'd like to thank you all for attending today. Thank you again, Fiona and Sharon. Thank you to my fabulous HR and communications team for putting this all together. And again, please go back into your teams, continue the conversation, continue to champion and open up the conversation, raising awareness and asking each other what we can do to make a difference and help bring out the best in Queenslanders of all abilities. Thank you.